What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're taking it back to the Destiny 2 realm with a classic Warlock helmet for y'all with the Nezarec's Sin. Now this right here allows us to get some great ability regen for our Void subclass, plus we are pairing it with the newly buffed Manticore that gives us that nice overshield while we're floating, a little easier to cancel it out. So we're gonna go over everything in this build, starting us off with the Nezarec Sin's exotic perk with abysmal extractors. So void damage kills increase ability energy recharge rate, so that is including our grenade, melee, nova bomb, as well as our void weapons. So that's why we are throwing on that Manticore to pair perfectly with this build. Now, to help even more with the ability spam of this build, we're going to go over our armor mods as well as the stats to go for. So down here, we're going with that 100 resilience to stay alive in that end game with 100 recovery, so we can get our rift back very quickly, with that discipline being up at 70, because with our mods as well as that subclass with our aspects and fragments. So first off, we're going to have stasis as well as harmonic siphon, so all of our weapons are going to be able to create orbs of power, with powerful friends being able to nice spread that armor charge when we pick up all those orbs of power. Now, to help with the ability spam of this build, specifically with our grenade, we got grenade kickstarter. So when we have that armor charge, our grenade energy is fully expended, we get a nice chunk of grenade energy back. So with the kills and Nezarec on top of the ability energy regen, we're going to get our grenade back very quickly. We're going to be using bolstering detonation, so it grants us that class ability when we do damage with our grenades, as well as fastball right here, so we can really whip those void grenades around. Charged up to help us have even more of that armor charge to allow us to get more energy back via that grenade kickstarter, with solar resistance as well as harmonic resistance right here. Depends on what you're going into for that activity. You can switch this out with any of our other ones, even take off the harmonic, throw on something like melee, concussive, anything like that. Now for our boots, we're going to help with that ability regen, like I said, with absolute. All of our abilities get a cooldown when we pick up orbs. Orbs of restoration right here gives us the ability with the least amount of energy, get some of that when we pick up orbs of power. And then finally, innervation, when we pick up more of those orbs, our grenade specifically is going to get a nice little juice. So the combination of these three allow all of our abilities to get stacked very fast, plus even more orbs of power with Reaper, with double bomber. Since we're going to get our rift back very fast, we're going to be able to throw that down often, getting us back a nice juicy bit of that grenade energy on top of grenade kickstarter. So it is a match made in heaven with all of these mods and the Nezarec Sin. Alright, when we move on to our weapons for this, we're going to be using the new Pacific Epitaph right here, which is a wave frame grenade launcher in that stasis variety. We're going to be using the Manticore as well. Like I said, got that nice little buff, so dealing damage while grounded, charges up that anti-gravity that we have for the repulsors. Dealing damage while airborne extends this anti-gravity. On top of that, dealing damage with this while airborne increases the weapon damage output, so this got increased, plus the overshield that we get from this is amazing, and it adds to the Nezarec ability with those void defeats. So we're going to be using this very consistently, plus the regnant to back it up with envious explosive light, a little bit of extra damage, plus this can also count towards those void defeats. Now, onto our artifact. Really not much we're going to be using, because this is very focused on strand, solar, as well as a little bit of stasis in there, but we are going to be using blast radius, so rapid final blows with rockets and grenade launchers grant us that armor charge, just to help us a little bit more with all those orbs of power, as well as this to get charged with that armor charge, so we can get that grenade through kickstarter to really proc and get our grenades back a little bit faster. When we move on to our abilities, aspects, and fragments, we're switching it up with the Nova Bomb Vortex here, so it throws that really fast Nova Bomb at the enemies that continuously damages those targets that are trapped inside and kind of pulls it in with that gravity effect. We're going to be using our Healing Rift to help us stay alive, with the Balance Glide as well as Pocket Singularity and Vortex Grenade, easily the best in my opinion. Now, we are going to be using Child of the Old Gods, so when we throw down that Rift, we're going to get a Void Soul to proc, which which when we do a weapon damage on a target, that little Void Soul will go out, causing damage as well as weakening them, which on top of that, well, we have that being drained. We are granted grenade and melee energy when we are running that healing rift, so again, adding to the ability spam of this build. We're going to be using Feed the Void as well, so getting that Devour to help us stay alive with those Void target defeats with abilities, so hence why we're going to be throwing this around all the time, getting it back very, very quickly with that grenade kickstarter. Now when we move on to our fragments right here, Void buffs applied to us last a little bit longer, so we're going to get a overshield as well as Devour with this build. On top of that, Echo of Instability, defeating targets with those grenades, grants us volatile rounds, so that volatility on our Regnant as well as the Manticore will help us to spread the Void defeats around in general to proc Nezarec Sin and get our abilities back even faster. Echo of Leeching, melee final blows start that health regen for us and nearby allies, so that'll be nice to pair with the ability spam of this build and Pocket Singularity, with last but not least, finishers right here grant us that invisibility, so which applies to right here, getting that Echo of Persistence to keep up with us. It is very, very nice with this build. So how I was using this build is definitely throw down your rift and grenades as much as possible. One, we get that weakening effect from them, and with the Nezarec Sin that we have, that ability damage and defeats are going to give us that ability regen, plus with our Manticore as well as Regnant on, with those volatile rounds, plus just in general, we're going to get that ability to regen faster. Grenade Kickstarter allows that to proc very easily with our grenade as well. So the chaining of these abilities with specifically your rift, throwing it down, get your little Void Soul to go out there, start weakening targets, get those defeats, you'll get some grenade and melee energy based on that because of your Void Soul. Throw your grenade out there, get even more of those Void defeats to proc a couple different things with our grenade Kickstarter, with volatile rounds, and then we have our Manticore to back that up where we can just go around floating with those volatile rounds. Absolutely mapping Guardians, getting that overshield. The buffed Manticore does feel very, very well. You can get off of that floating around as well, so that is a nice little change. So definitely try this build out for a little off meta end of the season here for season 23 Void build with that newly buffed Manticore and the classic Nezarec Sin. So again, appreciate all you guys coming back to the channel and supporting it as always. Y'all kill it. I appreciate the support on the Pal World videos as well, so don't be afraid to hit that like button and subscribe, as well as hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of these builds right here, God roll guides, as well as all that Pal World content. So appreciate all you guys again for coming back to the channel. Means a lot to me. I'll catch you guys on Wednesday in the next one. Peace.